Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. My name is Marianne Monteleone. I'm Vice President of Professional Development, and welcome to LIBOR's Wednesday webinar. I believe we have branded ourselves since COVID happened, and we try to bring our members all different Wednesday webinars on a variety of topics. And today we have a very special guest with us. Back by demand is Jay Gutenberg. So I'll let you settle in on this cold Wednesday afternoon, and we'll start promptly in a couple of seconds. So Jay, are you with us?
I am, Marianne. Good morning. Good afternoon now.
Yeah, right. Good afternoon. So welcome everyone to LIBOR's Wednesday webinar. Unfortunately, I know Jay really well. Fortunately, I know him well, but I do want to read his introduction so I don't leave anything out. So let me tell you a little bit about Jay Gutenberg. Jay Gutenberg is a graduate from Hofstra University with a bachelor's degree in business administration and immediately started his career in the insurance industry. Having joined LIBOR in 1988, he has been a non-practicing New York State licensed real estate agent with many realtor clients. Jay is a New York State certified trainer and instructor for the Long Island Board of Realtors. He specializes in the real estate industry, providing brokers and agents with E&O insurance, personal and commercial insurance, and home warranties for over 35 years. He has sponsored many of LIBOR's chapters, including Women's Council of Realtors, and he has attended all of the New York State Realtor conventions. Jay has presented at other real estate associations, including HGAR, CYBOR, Smart MLS, and Monmouth County MLS. He contributes to his community and holds the position of VP for Manaville Chamber of Commerce. He is also the Director of Finance since 1997 for the Eastport South Manor Sports Association, a nonprofit athletic and little league program hosting 9 different sports for the local community. So he does give back. Jay has been a trainer for us for many years, and he's here to talk about, he's a certified trainer for RPR. So without further delay, I turn it over to Jay Gutenberg. Welcome, Jay.
Thank you, Marianne. A pleasure as always. So I have some good news and some bad news. The good news is we're all here, and the good news is I'm going to teach you about RPR. I'm going to give you a great overview for the next hour. The bad news is they're about to go through a facelift, which we just found out about 2 weeks ago prior to scheduling this class. So I'm going to run through the entire program. The good news is the entire program is basically going to function the same way. This is a 10-year-old software program. It works real well. The mobile platform of RPR has a lot more functionality. So what they're doing is basically RPR is doing what they call a refresh. In my opinion, I'll call it a facelift because it's going to really function well like it does now. But it's going to have a little bit different look to it. The navigation is going to be a little bit easier, and I'm going to describe as I navigate through the program what some of the changes will be. So there will not be a large learning curve once they release the new program. As you know, in the tech industry, things change, but they are estimating this release to happen a week from today. So I believe it's 2/24. And I'll show you a couple of slideshows and a little video about some of the potential changes that are going to come up. Let's talk a little bit about what RPR is. RPR is built by the National Association of Realtors. It is a data aggregate. It is available to NAR members. It is not a public portal. The general public has no access to RPR. It is a program that was built by realtors for realtors and appraisers, and both on the residential and commercial side. So in the RPR account, as you see on my screen now that exists, there's really 2 platforms. One is a residential platform and one is a commercial platform. So if I click on the commercial, you'll see the commercial platform, and then back again. So the integration or the refresh is going to include all on the same platform, which will make it easy to navigate. There are a lot of data resources on the commercial side that a lot of the residential real estate agents like. So that's a good combination of how they reformed and listened Every inquiry that RPR has received goes to the programmers. So if you have an inquiry, you can always call, you can always hit the help button, you can always make a suggestion. They will log it, they'll track it, and they'll get back to you on all of the potential of that either upgrade or change, or they'll give you a workaround if they know that it exists or it's in the development stage. So it's very impressive. Before I really get started, what I'd like you all to do is take out your cell phone, please, and put this 800 number in there. That's the RPR 800 customer service. They are open 24/7. It's the 877 number on the bottom. If you have any questions regarding the program, they're manned by real people out of the NAR office in Chicago. So if you're doing a CMA at 2 o'clock in the morning, or you're running a report for the next day and you have some questions, there will be qualified assistance for you. And they actually work for us. So it's really impressive. Their customer service department is great. Some agents have some challenges logging on for the first time or logging on to a separate device for the first time. RPR you can access through the MLS right from the links on your info center page, or typing, going and searching for NAR RPR or just RPR. If for some reason the data is different between the MLS and NAR, maybe you changed an email or something and they can't identify you, hit forgot password, log back in, they'll send you a link to reset your password. If you have challenges, you can give them a call and they'll assist you. All it really means is that your name may be spelled differently or your email is a little different between the MLS and NAR. Once they figure that out, it'll be a smooth transition. So I encourage you all to put that in under RPR. There's a couple of fields on your phone normally, your first name, last name, company, phone numbers, emails. I also encourage you to put your NAR NERDS number on there as well, and you should keep that handy, because that's the way that NAR and LPR identifies you. It makes it a little easier when you do call. I'll show you where that number is. If you don't have it, it'll be in your RPR account when we talk about the setup page. So I saw this program about 12 years ago in the state of Oregon when I was doing a presentation there for one of my friends, and couldn't believe what this program did. And then literally a year or two later, LIBOR received and had access to RPR. And once again, it's a data aggregate. It pulls data from many, many resources, and the resources give you the ability to do searching, reporting. It's basically a combination of your MLS account and maybe even I'll use an ancillary product such as maybe even like a Zillow account. But this account belongs to you. What you do in this account, nobody sees but you. It gives you the ability to obtain information, present information to your potential buyers, sellers, and prospects. I don't care if you're a full-time agent, part-time agent, secret agent, spy on your neighbor kind of agent. You can definitely take advantage of the resources that RPR provides. They have a lot of marketing research. They have a lot of data that they put into reports to make it easy for you to present to your potential buyers or sellers, or if you're looking to create a farm area or looking to find out information about a farm area, you can do that as well. So there's a lot of information. Matter of fact, too much information. So part of the skills of learning how to use RPR is to weed out what you don't want. I'm going to teach you a little of that today. This is only an hour presentation. I'm going to give you a good overview of the program and then some of the changes. We will take a break halfway through just for Q&A. So if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. Unlike the CE classes that LIBOR presents to you on RPR, which is interactive, more of a workshop, I would encourage you to, if you have not done so, there's 3 or 4 of them that have been created. I encourage you to go to LIBOR and sign up. There's at least 2 a month for the next 2 months, I believe, 225. There's one February 25th, then March 24th, then April 9th, and April 28th. So those classes are good. They'll teach you, they're different hours. They'll teach you a lot of the details of RPR. and you certainly can get CE credits, which is also important. This is the introduction to the home page. I'm going to run through some of the tasks here, make you a little familiar with it. The first thing I want to introduce you to is the logo on the top left. You'll see a logo. You all should have a logo, which is your company. Coldwell Banker M&D holds my license for the last 15 years. Once again, I'm a non-practicing real estate agent. If you do not have a logo on the top left of your homepage in RPR, please have your broker owner contact RPR at the phone number that you put in your cells, and they will, there's no charge, they will ask for some information. They'll send your broker a form to fill out, and then obviously the logo, and they'll do that for you within a couple of days. When you go to the home page of your RPR account, which is the gear on the top right, if you click on it, that'll pull you to your home page, profile page. This is where you as an agent have the ability to upload your picture and logo. It is not the logo that's here, but it is a logo that will go out on some of the reports that RPR generates for you in flyers. So I encourage you to upload your picture and logo. To the right is your NERDS number. That's one place you will find it. So I encourage you to take that number and also put that in your phone in the same field as RPR or NAR RPR. You'll put, like where it says company, you'll put NRDS and put your number in there. Once again, it'll save you some time if you ever need to call the National Association of Realtors and or RPR. You then want to just go down the page and make sure all the information is correct. Your name, your office, your brokerage. Sometimes you have multiple offices. This is the home office, the registered office. These may be your satellite offices or a home address. That's okay. You can edit those. Make sure your phone number is correct and any numbers that you want to go out to your buyers and sellers and prospects when you generate reports. Make sure your email is correct. As I scroll down, make sure your MLSs are correct. Most of you probably just belong to LIBOR, but if you belong to another MLS, you'll see that listed there as well. I recommend and suggest that you put your real estate license number in there. It is public information. It does look impressive on some of the reports, so I would encourage that as well. Update, receive emails. RPR does not send out any junk emails. I think they send out probably 1 or 2 a year, just basically telling you some updates. As I mentioned, there's going to be a significant refresh next week. So you may start, and if not, have started to get some emails regarding that. That's basically it. On the right side, you will set your, or if you need to change your password, you can do that here. Unlike most MLSs, there is no changing of your password unless you want to. It's not a requirement. You just want to make sure that you also have your time zone correct. All right, there's a lot of choices, so make sure we put Eastern time, not Eastern Island time, different time zone. On the bottom of the right side is the devices that you can have active RPR accounts on. What's nice is these devices will sync together. So if you're on your desktop and have been navigating on your desktop and don't have the mobile app and decide to download the mobile app, which I would encourage you to do, the mobile app has got much more functionality than the desktop version because of the mobile platform that it's built on, meaning it's got a lot of pinching and zooming, and it works real good in the marketplace, whether you're doing open house activity or you're showing properties. It's a lot quicker than it has more function than the desktop version. So my point being is if you have a laptop, a tablet, or cell phone, you can sync up to 5 different devices, and what you do in one device will automatically appear on the other device. So that's the basic setup page. I'm going to go back to my home page. This is the master toolbar that we have. The toolbar has all properties, and when I say all properties in the entire country are listed here. We also have for sale property, for lease, neighborhood information, school information, market activity. In addition to all these tabs, you'll see here there's an advanced tab. This advanced tab, if I were to click on it, expands the fields of all these. Usually just one line on the bottom, school, middle, market activity. But if you hit the advanced tab, you'll see many more fields to choose from. So that if you want to drill down right away, You can do different searches. Okay, you can always expand the search once you pull up your data, very similar to the MLS activities, but you can get it directly from the beginning. There's a save button here. Any searches that you want to do, you can save them. RPR saves all of its activity for 30 straight days. So all that activity is right below. These are the columns. So any recent property that I looked at in the last 30 days is here. Any recent search that I did, whether it's a property or town, is here. Oops. Come on, which is here. And in the third module, any report that I had ran in the last 30 days stays there, unless I save it to the save column, and that'll save indefinitely. So you never have to worry about deleting any of the data. There's an explanation on the home page of your mobile giving you a reminder to download it. Okay. There's also video blogs that come up. You see that rotate as we navigate through RPR. You'll see some of those. And if there's a topic that hits your interest, I would encourage you. The top 3 that come up most of the time are very informative. And just due to time restraints today, I'm not going to view one. But if you want, all you need to do is click on the video and it pops up and you'll see a nice narrative from an agent's perspective of what the topic is that they're talking
My name is
about.
Bill Loveland. I'm CEO of Century 21 Advantage Gold, the largest Century 21 in southeastern Pennsylvania. So basically the difference between men and boys.
So you'll see a lot of links and videos, how others are using RPR. We also have an education center, learning. If you click on the learning tab, that will go to another server in the new system. It'll be all together. So we're going to have commercial, the learning center, the profile all together, as opposed to with 3 different platforms that are linked. So I'm going to leave RPR now a second and just go to the learning center to show this to you. This is very important. And you can see all of the videos here and you can click on them. So my point is, very impressive learning center. You can go to the tutorials. You can click on whatever topic. Once you click on a topic, for example, farming, the ones that make you money are also impressive. RPR guide to working with buyers and sellers. Pricing property. The videos are really impressive. They teach you how to navigate, how to extract the data, and the most important is how to present this data to your buyers and sellers. And that's really impressive. So I'd encourage you, if you have a question, to go to the Learning Center. I'm going to go back to RPR. This is my home page again. So navigating on the home page, I'm going to go back to the basic search so you can see this. I'm going to take you through some of the functionality that RPR allows us to do. So we can search for properties. I'm going to make believe that one of my neighbors is interested in selling their property. So when you get that phone call, you can put the data into the system and see information. So I'm going to type in their address. And a lot of agents have gotten good enough to do this while they're on the phone. I would say, hi, Michael, nice to hear from you. I know you're selling your property or interested in selling. I know you just told me that you're going to be relocating for work down to North Carolina. So I would type in their address. They live at 22 Bailey Lane, and that is in Manorville. And as they are on the call, I can actually see, I'm just going to edit this quickly, change it back for my last class. And one more edit. So you will see what we call a summary page. One more quick edit. Yeah. Okay, that should do it. So on our summary page, hang on, 2 different programs. Okay, so on our summary page, we have a value of a property. This is CMA that I did. I will show you that in a few minutes. We look up 22 Bailey Lane, and it gives you property values. That's the first thing that RPR does. And we know other companies that give property values as well, and we're always slightly disappointed in some of the values. And I'm going to tell you that RPR uses a lot of analytics that other companies do not use. It pulls public data, it pulls market data. We show you where we get that data from. If you would click on the value, it shows you all the properties. It's not a true CMA, but it does give you values based upon what the activity is in that marketplace, in that small marketplace around the property. Here is our subject property. Here is the data that it's used. It does give an explanation. It does give you a confidence score. What I mean by confidence score is, you'll see here there's a 5-star confidence score, and it tells you how it derives the confidence score. And most properties, depending on the activity, whether they're similar properties, or sometimes you'll click on a property and it has a price and it has a 2 or 3 star, which means, hey, maybe the other properties are not as similar. So you need to really look at it in more detail. We also give you the change in the last month. So this property in the last month, the value's gone up about $600. Over the last 12 months in that immediate area, about 4%. So we give you some nice demographics specifically for that. We even give you a video if you're looking to explain this, which I've explained to you, but there's a nice video here. You can click on it, and the part of the tutorial system, you usually get a minute or two of an explanation of what anything is. So if you get confused and you start navigating after seeing my webinar today and you don't understand, it's very intuitive. You can also click on the scholar cap on the top right, and that will identify the fact that you're on this page, and it'll give you a series of videos regarding this page, and you click on the appropriate one that you are interested in. So RPR creates a value. That value doesn't necessarily mean it's the true value of the property. It's the value based on the analytics around that property, and that's what I'm real confident on. As I've been teaching RPR for the last 10 years, their values are good, but RPR, like most companies, are basically analytical companies. So they can calculate the data, but what they don't bring to the table is what we all have, which is called AI. And AI, I call, and I mention it in all my classes, is your agent intelligence. That agent intelligence allows you, with RPR, to come up with values. For example, in this case, this is the property, and as I scroll down, you'll see some basic facts about the property and where we got the basic facts. We also give you living area. We give you the estimate value of square foot based on the living area and the value of the property, okay? This is the actual house. It's a Google image. It's a little old because it's Google. You can upload your own photos to the system as well right below, okay? You could add photos. So my point being is, RPR doesn't have any idea of what we bring to the table, which is AI, which is they have no idea of the condition of the property. They truly have no idea of the location. So in this example, to be specific, this house is on a cul-de-sac, so it has created some value for that. It is on a little bit of a hill. There's no neighbor next to them. If I were to drive down the hill, there's no neighbor there. Okay, that's the daughter of the owner, who's now married and living in Georgia 20 years ago. They give you a nice overhead view so you can get an idea of where that property is. Okay, there's pine barrens around on a cul-de-sac, no neighbor across. So the value of the property lot is worth a little bit more than some of the other properties in that community. So we can account for that. We can also adjust the value, which we're going to talk about. But as I scroll down, I have Michael on the phone. Michael, great, nice to meet you. Glad you called. When are you available? Saturday, great. I will be there. And you know that you are and should ask questions on the phone to Michael. And those questions would be, what's your motivation? Do you have a price in mind? Who's the owner of the property? And some of the responses you're going to put here. So in this scenario, Michael told me he put a new roof on the property for $10,000. He added a new kitchen a few years ago for $40,000. the 2 new bathrooms and the basement, and I made those notes quickly over the phone, and then I organized them a little nicer here. So you can get that information, and you should be using your RPR account that way. So if you're on a meeting with your office and you have listing data and some of the agents give you some insight about the property, use your RPR account. You should be logging in and following along, and anything that you want to add. If you see a house, near you or in your marketplace that has had some renovations, there's no reason why you can't go into your RPR account and put new roof installed. Looks like a pool was put in, because you never know when you're going to need that information. Some buyer may call you up a couple years later and say, hey, I want to live on that street, but I'd like to have a pool, etc., or a house that's been updated, and you'll have a lot of that information. So my point being is, RPR gives you the ability to customize your account. You can upload photos, etc. We also give you a lot of information about the property. So we get all the property facts. You can make some changes. Maybe they've made some improvements. You can add them there. You can put your own notes there. We also give you some graphs and charts about home values and demographic data around that property, all on the home page. We also give you flood zone information, exterior details, school information, what school district it is. If I click on the school district, it'll pull me right to the school. I can run a report regarding the school. I can see what the demographics are, what the school information is, what the student ratios are, okay? I can see nearby listings if there's others that are available. So there's a lot of things. I can create reports, which we're going to talk about. I'm going to go back to my home page, go back to the subject property. We're on the summary page. We'll cover some of these tabs in a little while. As I scroll down, talked about legal descriptions. In this case, some properties we're able to pull mortgage information. So I can see a lot of information about this property. I can see that there was a recorded mortgage. The owner's name is Michael, the loan amount. I can see that back in 2011, it looks like there were 2 purchasers. Back then, it looks like they were married. I believe Michael is now single. Looks like the loan amount had increased, probably due to the potential divorce. Tax information, we give you some tax values. We even go back 10 years. I'll show you that in a second. Deed information. So there's a lot of good information there, and there's certainly the deed records, interfamily transfer, sale, refi, whatever it was. So it goes hand in hand. Every property doesn't necessarily have all this information. It depends on where the property is located, what our relationship is with the MLS. You may look at a property in California or Florida or wherever, and it has a little less or a little more information. It depends on what we can pull from public records. I know some of the towns and municipalities, for example, like West Hampton, they have a village, a county, and a state tax, so it's hard to get some of the data there, so you have to be careful. There's a history tab for every property as well, and it's basically a lot of the historical data from page 1, the summary, prior sales transactions, listing data, public record data, tax information over the last 10 years. So you can see the trend if somebody's interested in that. Certainly mortgage information, if we're able to pull it. We don't get it for every property, so don't assume that they don't have a mortgage if it's not here. And once again, it's not updated daily, so if they paid off that mortgage very recently, it's probably not here. As far as an update, you know that some of the towns and some of the municipalities and even public record data takes time to update. So we covered the summary page, the history page. There's a chart and graph page. A lot of great charts and graphs about data. So if you're interested in knowing what's around that property regarding, for example, inventory on distressed properties or price per square foot or average pricing, very impressive data here as well. On the summary page, next to every property is a heat map. I think the heat maps are really impressive, very valuable. I click on it. I am going to zoom out. Okay, this gives you an idea where this property is in comparison to the island. Okay, so we're right here. As I zoom back in, you will start to see property values. These are all the property values. This is our subject property. If I want to see what's going on here, I can see that recently sold, there is a house for sale. So if I were to click on this, I can see this house. Happens to be a very nice house. A friend of mine owned it until they sold it about a year ago. And now, unfortunately, it's being resold. Not really sure why, but it's one of the nicest houses in the development. Look what I'm showing you this, and the reason why. RPR has assigned a value of 623 to this property. The listing price is almost 800,000. Why the big spread? How come it's not accurate? Well, it is very accurate, and you need to be able to validate and justify. This house happens to have had almost $300,000 worth of renovations to it about 4 years ago, probably less, 3.5 years ago. So you'll see some of the pictures, all the renovations. They were going to make it their forever home, and they decided to relocate. But my point being is, it's very easy for me to tell that potential buyer, hey, this is the most up-to-date house in this development. There's no other property that has a value of this. And the reason is, as you can see from some of the pictures, and it's got a country club setting, and it has totally been redone. They've leveled all the floors, and they did all the improvements that you can imagine. They've added hot and cold water to the garage to wash cars, etc. in the winter, things like that. So my point being is, you can certainly validate the value here if you have what they call the AI. And going back to my subject property, we're on 22 Bailey Lane, you can adjust this number a couple of ways. The third button in this tab over, and we're going to take a break right after I do this, and we'll answer all the questions, but I want to be able to refine the value. So I can take the refine section and increase the value. How? By adding home improvements, for example, and I'm just going to do one because we're short on time today. But if I wanted to add a kitchen, and let's just increase its value tremendously, just to, for example, it's a kitchen that was put in, let's say 2015, and the cost was 100,000. That would increase the property value by 50,000. You can also reverse it. If I pull up to a property and I see that this house is in dire need, maybe the driveway needs to be redone, or I walk into the house and I'm like, oh my God, it's a 40-year-old kitchen and nothing's been updated, and none of the bathrooms are updated, and the roof needs to be done, and the flooring needs to be done. I can create a negative value. For example, let's just put driveway. Oops, if I spell it like that would be better. Spelling, let's put in 10,000. And once again, I would add it, and that would be 10,000 minus. So that creates a value of minus 10,000. Another way to adjust value, maybe there was no home improvements, or they were done a long time ago, so it's hard to figure out what they were. But I can also adjust value by local market conditions. Well, how are the local market conditions in Manitoba? Well, we have stats that say they're a little above average. They've been increasing by 5 or 6%. How's the exterior? This is all your AI, subjective. Well, the exterior is in really great shape. I walked around, all the gutters, everything's in place. How's the interior? Also immaculate. The lot size compared to other properties, well, it's probably a little bit bigger than most, and there's no neighbor behind your back, so that's a good. The view is pretty impressive because it's better than most. Privacy, I don't hear or smell my neighbor's grill, so that's good. So you can see just from these edits, I increased the value by almost 40,000. So now we're up to about 673. So I'm happy with that value. And let's say I want to create a report to bring. It's not a true CMA, but I want to create a property report. I can go create a property report. I can edit some of the details because I know it's a lot of data. But just for this example, I'm going to hit run. The goal of RPR is to give you the ability to get data quickly, to be able to run reports. If you're showing properties, you want to run reports. If you're at an open house, you can run a report. If there's a inquiry, every inquiry you get, hey, I'm interested in this rental, I'm interested in this property, I know this house is for sale, you should be using RPR's reporting features. You can customize the reporting features. You can add custom pages to them, things maybe about you or your company. You can eliminate. This report is probably 25 pages long. There's plenty of information here you do not want to convey, especially to the potential seller if you're doing a CMA. You don't want to remind him that he had to refinance his home, that he got divorced, let's say, things like that. He's also not interested in a lot of information because he's moving out. He's not interested in the school information. He's not interested in the housing demographics in that area at this time because he's relocating. So you can literally make this report down to 3 or 4 pages and run it that way. The way you would do it is you would just unclick all of the information you're not interested in and go to the bottom and just hit run report. So a lot of information here, a lot of reports. You'll get familiar with the navigation. I'm going to go back to my subject property. We'll look at those two reports when they finalized after the Q&A. So 12:35, Marianne, if you don't mind, do we have any questions?
We do, Jay. Let's see. Dina wants to know, can searches be saved for more than 30 days?
Yes, and when you save them, they will appear here where it says saved, and it says searches, and they'll all be here. So the answer is yes.
Okay, great. How accurate is the property tax information provided in RPR?
So let's talk about that, and specifically to any product and program that provides you with real estate data. The data is only as good as where it comes from. So for example, when we go down to the, and there's two comments on that. Number one, how accurate is it? It was at one time accurate, meaning, but the question I think is truly, how quickly is it updated? So that's the bigger challenge with a lot of software programs, is the fact that someone may have paid off their mortgage, or their taxes may just have gotten adjusted. So the answer is, when you go down to that tax information, here it is. Okay, it's public records. It'll identify where it is. And in certain cases, if it's a non-tax, like a mortgage information, you can see more information. Sometimes they'll even tell you when it got updated. So for example, like on this home facts, or even on here, view details, it'll tell you when it was recently updated, 1/6. So my question to you is, I would say it's very accurate, but I can't validate how fast it was recently updated. So you need to do your due diligence. And I know a lot of agents over the years have told me in my classes, and the feedback that I've gotten when it comes to information about accuracy is to put on the listing, so to speak, or validate where you got it. So this way, your information is validated. It's not just your guess. All right, so that should take care of that. Next.
Our town data often shows built date of 1991 rather than the actual date. That error is then reflected in RPR reports. When it is off by 30 or more years, it can affect comps. Is there a way we can correct that info?
So once again, we probably get that information from somewhere. RPR does not make up any data. They do not. The only thing that RPR makes up based on data would be the RVM. So the good and bad news of that is, yes, we can, and I sort of did it before, we can do edits. So what you would do is, if you have a document, for example, and you know, for example, when that house was built and it's inaccurate, you can send it to RPR. RPR will do the acknowledgement of it, we'll do the investigation of it, and we'll pull that data and put it in there. So the answer is yes, you can get data corrected in RPR. Over the last 8 years, I probably have done that about 24 times from examples like that or questions in my classes. In addition, as a workaround, what I would suggest is go here and edit it yourself. So if this house really was not built in 95, I can literally change it to 1965, and that'll only change in my account. It will not change in everybody else's RPR. So my point is, in order to make that presentation, or to make an accurate presentation, I can make those adjustments in my own RPR account.
Okay, that makes sense. So another question about accuracy: how accurate is the school information provided in RPR?
I would assume that's very accurate. I've never had anyone tell me not. I've been running school reports for 10 years, and I probably have trained over 35,000 agents. And we cover that, especially in the 7.5 hour CE classes that I've taught over the years. We cover a lot of information on the school. So that is, I would assume, extremely accurate. And what we do is we disclose where we get our data from. Mm-hmm. So that's important as well.
Does it include village taxes?
No, I mentioned that before. A lot of times If I know West Hampton and other incorporated villages, it's hard for, they do not release public data. So not available in most cases.
Okay. Will the CMA include interior photos of the comps?
We're going to do the CMA, and I think the answer is yes, because we'll have it. Yes. Yep. We're going to do that after the break, after the question.
Okay. I changed the number of bedrooms from 4 to 3, and the value dropped 243,000. That's right.
That doesn't necessarily make sense. And if you're using, let me go back to that. So if you're in a property, here's my suggestion. You're in a property, and I think you went to the refined area and you changed it here. And I'll tell you that that section, in my opinion, is not, I don't want to use the word not accurate, but I would recommend you would change it. And I'll tell you when you do your refinement or your CMA, because here, if I change this from 4 to 3, let's see what applies. See, 4,000, that makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
So be careful of where you're pulling, I'm not sure, but my point is that seems way out of, I don't think that that's accurate.
Right. Okay.
And another way is when you do the actual CMAs and you do your actual searches, there's another spot that's right specifically geared. So I'm not sure where that agent did the adjustment, but that should answer that. Or you call, and if there is any issues that you have with RPR, as bizarre as that one was, I would call RPR. They'll know where you are on your screen, and their customer service is the best, second to the LIBOR customer service for MLS extension 1.
We have a few more questions, but that was a question. If we had the phone number for.
On the bottom of every page, and I would suggest you put that in your cell, as I mentioned in my intro.
Oh, good.
Customer service right there. Awesome. 24 hours, live by man, real people. And if you're in your account, they will go in. In addition to that, I would suggest you have your NERDS number available. You can find it on the home page of RPR if you don't have it. And you can also find it, I believe, in your info in Stratus as well.
Just 3 more, if we can go
Sure.
through them. Does this pull private MLS sales like from public records?
Yes, we do have public information data, but understand once a public house closes, it may take the town 6 months to record that deed. So it's not that it's not accurate, it just that may not be updated as quickly as you would think. We update from the MLS every day. We do not update from the municipalities every day.
Right, okay. What if the homeowner has a property tax exemption?
Good question. I'm gonna see if it is in there is a section under the taxes. So I don't see, here it is, tax exemption code, homestead. So
Okay, great,
I'll assume that would pull, yep.
good.
And if there is something, for example, you can make your notes in there and put it in there so that, maybe they've not grieved their taxes in 10 years or whatever the case may be, or there is a possible exemption that they've not applied for. There's no reason why you can't add it in there if it's either your listing and even if it's a property that you're going to show and you don't see it there and you want to make a note, well, we want to inquire about the taxes. So once again, if I'm sending a report maybe on a Friday night to somebody that's going to show 2 or 3 properties the next day, and that's going to be some of the questions we're going to ask that potential seller if they're interested in the property or the other agent. So you can do that way. Keep very organized.
Okay. When there is an adjustment for condition, whether it's adding value or taking away value, what do you tell someone if they ask, how was that dollar amount generated?
Awesome question. So it's based on 2 factors. Number 1, depending on where you're doing your adjustments. If you're doing your adjustments here on the sliding scale, it's based upon your AI, agent intelligence. You know that houses that are on cul-de-sacs are usually higher value. You know that houses that are on double yellow line streets or usually less value because of traffic, no K-turns, things like that. So you know that properties that are located near busy streets have less of a value in most cases. And then there's always the controversy of a house near a school or away from a school, what's better, what's worse. We cover that in more detail, but the reality is you have the ability to incorporate your AI into this section here. Now, the other part of that would be the value here. For example, we talked about adding an improvement here. So we get our data from a company called Hanley Wood, and Hanley Wood is a nation's leading supplier of real estate data. They also do it for DIY and This Old House and HGTV. So what's nice about RPR is they disclose where they get all their information from, and it's highlighted there as well.
Okay, and are homeowner telephone numbers provided?
No, but we do have a database of names. For example, if I were to look up properties, and I'm going to make this up, 11530, which I believe is Garden City. I click on Garden City, I hit search. I pull up the 9,000 properties in Garden City, so I would potentially refine it. But if I wanted to create marketing and doing some mailing labels, I can, okay? But, and we can even change it to owners' names or resident, or if they don't live at that property and there's another address because they rent it, etc., we can do that. But unfortunately, phone numbers are not available in this program.
Okay, is this national or only New York?
Nope, this is NAR, National Association of Realtors. This product has every property in the entire country listed in it. And I believe that literally 99% of all the MLSs are a participant. Some smaller MLSs, I believe, they do not participate in this, but for the simplicity, you know, it's a national product.
Is this included in LIBOR fees?
Yes, so it's actually included in your NAR dues. So this program is funded by the 1,000,004 realtors that are members of NAR, and a few dollars out of those fees go to fund this. So there'll never be a charge for this program, nor an upcharge for it as well.
Does this work well with condos and co-ops?
Co-ops are not real property, so the answer to that is no. There's always a challenge, much better for condos. When you are navigating in the 5-borough area where the addresses sometimes have dashes and some don't, you will sometimes find that it's a little challenging. Sometimes they want the dash, sometimes they don't. Depends on public record data, but it's very simple to figure out. So the answer is better for condos than co-ops, because co-ops are not real property, so we don't really pull up that data.
Okay, and then if we can quickly show how to set up their initial profile. Is that, I know we have to get on with it, but
probably have set up for you. It's clicking on the profile and just making your edits. And then once you hit your edits, hit save. So most of this information is probably here. And all you want to do is add your pictures, add your logos, check to see that this information is either complete or, it's probably incomplete. This is complete because this is your brokerage. Make sure your phone numbers are updated, hit the save button, and you're done. Put your license number in if you'd like, and then you're good. Then once you hit save, it'll update.
simple enough. I have one more question, and then I know you have to continue. In the house that you showed before, I guess the Manaville house, the price was accurately displayed, but the VM was lower, and the confidence star showed 5-star. Is the confidence on the VM or list price in this example?
So, the property you're referring to is 6 Kimberly. The RVM, the value that the realtor valuation model that RPR came up with, is based on this data that's around the house, which is mainly this development here. There's another development here that's a little smaller. These two, in my opinion, really are not applicable for a CMA value, but from a geographic, demographic value, this is what RPR used to come up with this number. Is this number, in my opinion, accurate? It's accurate based on this. It gives you a quick snapshot, but For example, this house has had, and here's what I'm telling you. Is this number accurate? Yes, it's accurate based upon the data. Is this number accurate based upon all the home improvements? Yes. This number, what it's listed for, is easy for me to validate it. So if I sent out a report to someone on this property and they're going to say to me, well, why is it only worth 623 and the list price is 800? The reason is the following, and I can easily and most likely, without exaggeration, validate 200 and change plus almost 300,000 of improvements that were made in the last 3 years. Verse, and let's talk about this, similar house, a couple of doors down, going back to 22, and even the house next to it, which I'm going to show you the picture, because this house also had some $100,000 worth of renovations. But this house, which is right next door, I know for a fact has had no renovations. So if I were to go into that house and it shows, fine, I was just playing around, this number is incorrect, but I was playing around with this. RPR values this house at 597, but in reality, I would probably, and I haven't been in it in 20 years, but I know they need a new kitchen, they need a new bath. There's, it's never had a home improvement. So in that number, the reality is I can make that number 550 and say to the homeowner, listen, if your home was up to date, we probably could get 600,000 for it or list for it. But the fact that a buyer walks in, they're going to need a new roof, they're going to need a new bathroom, they're going to need a new kitchen, they're going to need another new bathroom. There's been any significant home improvements. That's a challenge. So if you go into a house that is in desperate need or is dilapidated, etc., you can easily justify a lower number than what RPR has come up with. The rating confidence score is just based upon the fact that it's confident that there's a lot of activity, enough activity around that house to give it. When I started navigating in these locations, you'll see 2 or 3 stars. That was 8 years ago. But because of all the MLS activity and the amount of sales transactions, and there's very few towns or areas on Long Island today that only have a 2 or 3 star. Sometimes it's a unique property, or it's it's the biggest house on the block, or it's the smallest house. Everything else was 300,000. All of a sudden, there's 2 doors down, there's an $800,000 house for sale. Because it just happens to be on the borderline, so to speak. So it's just giving you insight to put your eyes on that property.
Right. Yeah, that was good. Great explanation. I mean, we have a few more, but
Let me just finish the CMA.
Yeah, go ahead.
Important parts of the program, and then certainly I would encourage all of you, because of the product itself, the fact that it's being updated, to take a lot of the CE classes that LIBOR provides. But let me just show you this, because I think it's one of the most fascinating things the program does. It gives you the ability to do a CMA, and it's, in my opinion, extremely accurate. It's extremely efficient. I'm going to end up getting through it in about 4 minutes, and then we'll break for the rest of the questions, because I know we're timed at 1. So I want to do a CMA on this property. So here's what I do. I click on, we covered the summary, the charts, the refined value. I'm going to click the comp tab, which is either this tab or this tab. And they're going to simplify a lot of these tabs. I'm going to show you at the end just a very short video of what the changes are going to be. So here's my comps. We have 2 different comp products. One is a very analytical, detailed appraisal style CMA. One is the basic CMA, and I'm just going to run through that. It's a 5-step CMA process. So first step is confirming the facts. I'm going to confirm. Let me just get rid of this, clear all. So, okay, confirm the facts. I look at the system. I like all the numbers. If I want to make my changes, that question came up before. If I want to change it to 5 bedrooms or whatever, I can do that here. So this is where I would make my changes. I'm going to continue. If it's enough data, it'll let me get to search for comps. This is the part that agents love the best. I can search for properties many different ways last 6 months. This is where I also changed it. I would change it to 4 baths for 2. If you want to do whatever, I can put my square footage in. I hit the button, hit search. Look how cool I can choose. This is just in this map area, which is a very small area around the subject property. But I now have 6 comps to choose from my CMA. We identify the ones that RPR has used in its evaluation. Doesn't mean I want to use them, but it's certainly the first place I would look. 6 for sale, 6 sold, and that's my data. But I'm going to go here. Watch. This is also agents love it within a school district. So now it's probably going to quadruple that number. So now I have 41 properties within the school district, okay, which is impressive. Okay, and you can see all of that data. So now I have 40 properties to choose. I'm just going to do this quickly just to get through the navigation, not necessarily for accuracy. I'm going to pick whichever 3, 6, 9 comps out of the 41 that I want to use. I'll pick one more, make it even number 4. It comes up with a value, 597, okay, based upon the 4 comps. And I don't even know if it's accurate, but here's where I can make it accurate. How does this property compare to my subject? Well, it's a little worse. How does this property compare? I'm going to make, and it's fairly accurate. I'm being pretty close to what I know these houses are. And here's my point. I just took 3 properties and I increased the value. So watch this. I click update. There's a couple other things. I'm up to my 653. Now I know on this property that I wanted to get to somewhere based on these $100,000 worth of improvements. I wanted to get to somewhere close to 670 as a listing price with a 660 offer. So I'm going to go back to the CMA, and if you notice, I don't lose any of my data. And I'm going to make one quick adjustment to do that last property, and that'll make it pull me right up to where I got to be. And here's my point, 670 right on the nose. If I want to put a range in there, I could. If I'm happy with that weird number, I can. I click create my report, and that CMA is going to be generated in about 2 minutes. And in the interim, I am going to show you the quick update. Let me go to share my screen. I'm going to show you this one. This is going to give you a little idea. And Marianne, just tell me that they can see this because you're the only one that can respond. Here is a quick view of the update.
Yeah, we see it.
Okay, awesome. So
In this video, we'll review the home page of RPR.
just gives you a little bit
This is where
better
search begins.
understanding of
You can
the
view your market
organization.
areas and view all saved properties and searches. Let's get started. At the top of the RPR homepage, you have your static navigation menu that exists. The marketing menu takes you to shortcuts, which are guided tours of popular RPR features such as prospecting. You can also go straight to marketing specific tasks such as the creation of flyers and reports. Or you can jump right to the reports generation page by simply choosing the report you want to create from the reports drop-down menu. Select Learn to access video. Select the filters icon to show your advanced search options. The orange magnifying glass or update and search runs your search. Next, you'll see My Markets, where you can monitor market activity for specific areas, much like a hot sheet. If you've already set up market areas, they'll display here. The market area shown on the map will be the last area you looked at unless you've previously set a default support number here, and jump to RPR Learning on the blog, where you can save your seat in an upcoming webinar or access on-demand tutorials and quick start guides. And be sure to subscribe to the RPR YouTube channel. It's an easy way to learn more about RPR features and tools and stay current on updates and improvements.
All right, so you guys can see this report, Marianne, they can see this report. I shared screen again.
Yep, I see it.
Okay, great. So this is one of the reports that we ran. I'm showing you this. This was the refined value. You can customize these reports. I know we're sort of out of time. I want to take a couple of quick questions, but that little video, you can sort of see how it looks a little bit different than the home page here. And once again, here is the few things that change. The navigation of how you do the CMAs and how you do your searching and that, believe it or not, is all there, which means it was very well written 10 years ago. So it's not really changed much, but the new refresh features are going to be a little bit more streamlined on the searching. All the data is on the home page. You've got a new property layout. You get a couple of great shortcuts. You get a better integration between residential and commercial. You get improved map features. So once again, when this gets released and next week is the ETA, all of the classes will be on the new program, and I'll hopefully be invited back to do another demo as well. So I'll stop now and ask, finish up with any questions, and stay within our time frame.
Sure, okay, just a few more. I think you just answered this question, but can we pull data for commercial besides residential?
Yes, you can, like right now, up until next week, can be clicking on the commercial tab. Next week, there'll be a little tab right on your home page right here. And you can, it's a little bit easier, but yes, the answer is you can pull up basically very similar data on the commercial side.
Is there any data or statistics on how these values measure up to actual bank appraisals?
So yeah, on that second CMA, it's basically a bank appraisal type of CMA built by appraisers. So the answers, and there's a couple of videos, we didn't cover it today, but I do cover it in some of the CE classes. So the answer is yes. And if you need to challenge it or put the same data in, you can use that same format. If you are an appraiser, it is actually a registered appraisal, so you can put your license number in there as well.
Then I answered quickly. It seems that some did not see the demo of updates or the video. So can you tell us how to get there?
Yeah, so the reality is that's not, I don't think, and I should say that, I know that they're going to be releasing that video and about 3 or 4 others that are there to, I believe, all of the real estate agents in NAR. I don't know what the release date is. So I'm under the impression it will go out this week or next week, because as of today, the release is scheduled for the 24th, which is next Thursday, right? No, Wednesday night. Wednesday, it's Wednesday. 24th is Wednesday. So yeah, week from today. So if you don't get it before then, when you go right to the site, when you log in on Wednesday morning, it'll be right in the info center by going here to learning. And all these videos are going to be updated.
Great.
They'll be updated. But I do believe you're going to get a release information with that video included, 2 or 3 of them as a sample.
And then how do we access RPR? Under what toolbar concept?
So the easiest way is to go in through your MLS, through your info center. The second way, I would just go to NAR RPR. So if you type in NAR RPR on the, either downloading on the mobile app or on Google, and it's going to ask you for your email and password. Put your email in and then hit forgot password. They'll send you a link to create a password and you go in that way. If they send you a link that says we're unable to identify you, you just need to call RPR, give them your name, your MLS, or your NERDS number, where you're located, your office. They'll set that up correctly and send you the link that you need to create a password. So it's real easy, and their customer support is phenomenal.
Well, I think that wraps it up.
Awesome.
Right on.
Pleasure. Thank you. Look forward to seeing you in some of future RPR classes, and stay safe and warm.
Thank you, Jay. Maybe when the update happens, we can have you back.
I would love to.
Good. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for joining in with us, and please join us again next Wednesday for Rose Nigra, who was the co-author of the app CALM, C-A-L-M, for a mental wellness webinar with us. Thank you, Jay.
Bye now, folks. Have a great day.
Okay, you too.